Welcome back to another episode of The Pursuit of Everything with Levi Warner. I'm joined with my sister Cozi. John, the podcast guy, is here. We need to come up with a name. And we got...
You really stumbled right there.
I did. It's not like me.
The podcast guy's fine.
The podcast
But
guy.
that's lame.
Yeah.
Producer John.
I'll come up with something. Don't fret. And we got Angie's here with us again, joining us as well. DJ Topeka. She's real excited about the Chiefs in the Super Bowl this weekend.
Yes.
They're going to win too.
Yeah, they're not.
Wow.
They probably will because I'll bet against them.
You are going to bet against him?
Haven't decided yet. I'm up in the air.
Everybody I talk to, it's like 50-50.
Right?
What's the spread right now? It's like 1.5.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really close.
It is close. Should be a good game. Excited for it.
Nobody
So,
wants to see those two teams play though.
right.
So.
Are you going to be like the psycho when your team's in the Super Bowl that you like don't allow anybody around you?
Oh no, I
Okay.
like people around me. We watched the Super Bowl once with some 49ers fans. I think it was the first time that we were in the Super Bowl. And
We like
Wait.
your other team.
yeah,
Obviously.
Do you have a jersey?
I do. I have a Time Law jersey.
Oh.
You don't have
That's old
a
school.
Waddle
Wow.
jersey?
I should get a Waddle jersey.
You should.
DJ Topeka.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Obviously, you go number 69.
Of course.
Like a 13-year-old.
Right. Why would you?
Anyway.
All right. Well, now that we got that out of the way, we'll get into it. So today, I think we're going to focus a little bit on Cozi's path into business and her real estate career and talk a little bit about, just the basics. So,
I will warn you before we get started. I've had kind of a bad day. So I've been a little crabby, but I'm trying to drink. I told Levi some personality back in with my first form energy drink.
I did offer some tequila to get
Yeah.
it going, but she declined. Apparently,
That's when the real personality comes out.
Right.
First Form isn't a sponsor, but if
Not yet.
somebody wants
They
to
should
reach
be,
out-
right?
Not yet. Anyway.
Right.
We'll take you.
I just had a protein bar, if anybody's wondering.
Satisfied.
Right. So let's.
Energy drinks this morning too.
Right.
You're having half of one right now.
Well, let's get into your story a little bit here, Cozi, and
Okay.
how you started and joined this wonderful team led by me.
Jesus.
Because, how old were you when you were quite a bit young? You're quite a bit younger, right? You were quite a bit
I
younger
am.
when Levi
I wouldn't
was,
say
right?
quite a bit.
Quite a bit. Quite a
So, how old were you when Levi was getting started in his real estate journey?
I was probably, how old were you when you started?
I think it was 26, 25, 26.
Yeah, so I was probably 18, 19.
I'm not that much older than
You are. You're 5 years older than me.
Right.
6
So,
years.
26 and 18, 19 math doesn't compute.
It does. It does. Yeah, so I was, probably about 20. And Levi kind of, what did you start in property? Well, no, when were you in property management?
Yeah, I was in my early 20s then, 22, 23.
Yeah, so I started cleaning rentals when Levi was working property management. Just like for extra money. I was awful at it.
That's a hard job.
It's hard.
It's a really hard
It's
job.
hard. So I kind of started, first I started cleaning rentals and then I got hired as the secretary at the property management company. So
Yep, answering phones, getting some customer service
Yeah,
experience.
took rent payments and sat at the front desk all day.
Listen to the crazy renters and their issues.
Yeah, but then even I think we've talked about like Jim and Dick and how Levi learned a lot from them. I learned a ton from them as well because Jim was one of the owners of the property management company. And he would sit out at the front desk with me all day and really taught me how to talk to people.
Absolutely. Yeah. He was really good at talking to people and, hearing their concerns and acting like he cared.
And then he would like laugh and like,
Yeah. So, and then after when I got my real estate license, that's when I started the property management company, and then Cozi came to work for us there, and just kind of continued the journey, and she kind of ran the office.
Yeah, and then so I did property management for Levi after that. I feel like I had like a couple random jobs
Right.
in between. Like when you're that age, that like early 20s, you're kind of like floundering and trying to figure out what you want to do. So yeah, I was kind of like in and out. I moved to Phoenix for about a year. I got a job as a property manager in Phoenix, which was different, just, they're different house styles and laws.
Yeah.
And it was right 08, so it was right after the market crash. So Phoenix was crazy. They would tell me, because you had to have a real estate license in Arizona to be a property manager, so I got my real estate license there. It was they said you could like write for sale on a napkin and lay it in a front yard and a house would sell. But then when I was doing the real estate class was like right after the crash, so I got to learn about all the cool lawsuits.
And people were looting houses.
It was like if you had a rental that went vacant, it would sit vacant for 8-9 months.
Right. And then you had people stealing cabinets and wires. It was
and you had like full neighborhoods, right? The builders there then built full subdivisions and they were empty. So then they'd have squatters.
Oh.
For years, it took them a long time to get the squatters out of all of those brand new houses. So that was different. And it was just, right, a different office. They had like at one point, like someone called and said they had like roof rats. And I was like, whatever. And then I Googled it and I was like, oh, they were like, their tails are at least 12 inches long and they're huge. And what they climb up the fruit trees and then they jump into your attics of your roofs.
Oh, different area, different problems.
Yeah. And termites, like whatever. We don't really, there are termites here, not a ton though. It's like, right. I always tell people it's too cold in Montana for termites to survive, but
they're apparently roof rats.
And roof rats. Yeah. We don't have fruit trees.
Right.
So then, when I moved back from Arizona, it was, I didn't have a job. Obviously, it was like probably 2009 when like the economy was still awful everywhere. Levi was just getting divorced and lived in his friend's basement. Yep. And I had to live in Levi's ex-wife's basement.
It was a magical time.
In the middle of their divorce.
So why did you move back to Montana, like without a job or anything? Like what?
I just missed family, right? I moved there with a boyfriend. You know how that goes. Doesn't work out. You come home. So I came back, no job. There weren't any jobs. I had to get a job cleaning hotel rooms, living in Levi's ex-wife's basement. I lived there for a little bit. Then I moved up from cleaning rooms. The guy that owned the hotel liked me, so I moved up from like cleaning rooms into a front desk position, and then from there into his sales manager. Story of my life. I always kind of ended up moving up in weird positions at places. And then I ended up working at a trucking brokerage, which is kind of almost the same thing as property management. That's actually how I got the job when I was in there, like interviewing. They were like, right, so property management, you say, I can rent your house for this much. And then you go find a renter to pay that much. And then that's where the property owner makes their money between their payment and the rent that comes in. Same thing with a trucking brokerage. I would say like, yeah, I can get your load moved for this much money. And I'd go find a truck to do it for cheaper. And that's where the company made money. So I ended up moving up into a management position there, managing other salespeople. And then Levi was like, go get your real estate license. It took him a long time to talk me into it.
It took me a long time to like coax her into doing it. Shoot.
How old do you think she was when you first started talking to her about it?
Probably 25, 26.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
And how did you finally get it?
I was probably 35.
Oh.
Yeah. It took me a long time to coax her into doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were doing at the trucking brokerage for quite a while then.
Yeah.
Couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe 4 years, I would say.
What made you wait so long to get your real estate license?
It's scary to jump into a commission gig, you know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, right, you're raised your whole life and taught your whole life, like, go get a good paying job, work really hard, get like health insurance and a 401k, and you've made it, right? So I did it. I went and got the job where I had health insurance and a 401k, and I made, $50,000 a year, and I thought I was making a ton of money until I had to live on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that was kind of hard there was all the management and stuff was really young. So I kind of topped out. There was nowhere else for me to go in the company.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was get your real estate license. So then I did it online. I had to have a job while I was doing it. So I would do the class evenings and weekends.
Well, and during that time is when I started the building company. And so we were growing and I needed help. And there was kind of that natural progression for Cozi to come in and help because I trust her. She does a good job. I know she does a good job. She works hard. Because everybody gets into real estate to make their own hours and, because they like watching reality TV shows about on HGTV. So I knew Cozi would put in the time and effort, but it wasn't, I didn't make it an easy transition for her. Like I didn't give her any listings and stuff right out of the gate.
No. And that's what's funny is a lot of people assume that that's what happened. I tried. He shot me down a lot, but then now like just to stroke Levi's ego more, which he needs it. But it's true. It worked, right? Because it's a lot of it. He was like, people aren't going to respect you if they think you just came in and I just handed you business.
Right. And then I also wanted her to learn that she could always fall back on her own skills. Like if the building company went away, say I sold it, and we had no new houses to sell, she'd always be able to find clients, drum up business and be successful on her own. So she wasn't always relying on the new construction.
Right. So yeah, so that transition from going from a full-time salaried job, right? So what I did, which everybody kind of does it differently, but I passed my real estate exam. And I turned my notice in at my job. And then I did get a job being an assistant for like an established real estate agent in town because I just needed money coming in, right? And then I got a serving job that I worked at Olive Garden on the weekends, evenings and weekends.
Right. And we also had a game plan. We set it up so where you had 6 months of bills, year worth of bills in your savings account.
Oh, no, not when I quit my job. I didn't.
Right.
No. So the plan was, right, like you get 6 months of bills in the bank and you can quit your serving gig. Well, and right, the assistant job is like go work under someone who's established and successful and learn how to do it from them. I wanted my own clients kind of right from the jump. So the deal I cut with him was I would pay him a referral fee on any of my clients in the meantime, and then he paid me a salary. I ended up paying him more in referral deals than he paid me in a salary to where I was like, I'm out. Like in the
first month.
In the first like 2 months, it didn't even make sense to like stay working that if I was paying him more money than he was paying me. The other thing that was right, because I had Levi telling me, be at the office every day. Because he's old, right? He was like, people are going to walk in and want to buy houses, and you got to be sitting in there. Right. Well, nobody walks in real estate offices
I started
anymore.
Pre-internet, so pre-Facebook, and.
But I was always in the office, and I was always right because you don't have any business. What do? I would go sit in the office and. I'd like make calls, try to find something to do. There's also something I feel like to be said to be around busy people because it like the momentum.
Absolutely. Action breeds action. And, I think a lot of people, when they get into real estate, they make the mistake of sitting at home and you just never find business sitting at your house, right? If you're going to go, if you're going to go work at a coffee shop or there's other people around or, find, when I started, it was 2 lunches, 2 coffees, and I also put on a bunch of weight. but you want to get in front of as many people as you possibly can. So people need to know that you're in business, and they're not going to know that if you're sitting at home watching reality TV about real estate. Yeah,
and I had one of the first things I was told to do by the guy that I was working as an assistant for was like put a post out on Facebook, and I was like. Levi had to help me write it. I was like, oh my God, just like it's a weird fear. So I get it. Right. But that's why so many people get their real estate license and then can't do anything with it. And it's because fear holds them back from doing it. Right. So, but Levi helped me write it. I basically just posted out like, hey guys, I got my real estate license. Was it? Right. I got my first client off of that.
It was way better word crafted than that.
Yeah. But that was, but that was basically what it said. And I got my first client off of that Facebook post, which I think was just luck, right? Like just dumb luck. But the other thing that's funny is it was my nephew who was my first client, but now he's on his third house that we've sold. Like he's bought and sold a couple times. And I just told him recently, like, you were my first client and I had no clue what I was doing. And he had no idea. He was like, I never would have known. And I was like, well, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think even as an established agent, we stopped doing the little things that got you to the place that you want to go. You know, we get busy. We stop doing the marketing. We stop doing the posts, Cozi.
My posts are still going.
John the podcast guy.
Because of John the podcast guy.
We'll come up with something better, John. But
one thing, but even like back to that, do what you do before. I need to start sitting in coffee shops again.
Right.
Because when I first got my license, I would just take my computer and I'd go sit in a coffee shop and work.
Right. It helped that we didn't have an office then.
Yeah.
So we had we
were meeting people at coffee shops and
wherever we could. So you have to do those little things to keep that momentum going.
So do you guys, for both of you, the little things that you talk about, the back to basics that you talk about, do you feel yourselves like falling out of that a lot more frequently?
I don't anymore because I've been doing it so long that I know, like, if I start feeling myself slipping, then I can start that going again. It just takes reps. You just got to keep doing it over and over and over again. You know, after 25 years of business, you start to, and then as being a leader of our whole team, I preach, if you do the little things right, you'll do the big things right. So then it kind of holds me accountable because I can't expect everybody else to do it if I'm not doing it as well. It's like being a trainer at the gym and being fat, right? Like you can't expect people to listen to you if you're not doing what you're preaching.
Right.
Yeah. I know I'm slipping right now, right? Like I know it. It's hard to, you get complacent, right? I should be out calling expireds and right, doing that kind of stuff. Actually, there's a newer agent in town that I'm like, hey, she's kind of getting, like, I've kind of seen her around a little bit already. And then I had a listing expire and my people called and said, hey, this girl called us. Well, she's calling expireds. She's doing what she should be doing. Right. She's doing what I should be doing. So,
but I think the key to that is to, when you notice yourself slipping, is to get right back on it. It's the same concept of, you eat bad, one day instead of making it a week, just get right back on it. Get back on your diet, get back to making those calls, dress up, show up, make calls, take calls. That's the key to our business, is it always being in front of people all the time.
So, but now we're in kind of a different space in our business, right? We're not in that. We're in the space now where we are working to build a team that can handle, because that's right. I end up slipping on doing those things I should be doing because I'm busy doing other things, right? It's not like I'm just chilling all day, like office work. I'm busy doing like office things that my assistant should be doing, right? But then I also have a weird growing pain with that because I have a hard time giving up the control. Yeah. So
we're working on it.
Yeah.
I have no problem giving up control.
No. You do not.
So since you've been doing this for so long, do you feel like you can catch yourself slipping quicker?
That's the key, is to catch it quicker. Like, we need to do more open houses, but it's easy to be like, oh, it's going to snow. Like,
the wind's going to be blowing. Literally, we've had that conversation.
Right. Back in the day, it wouldn't matter. We'd still be doing 3 open houses a weekend. So we definitely know it, and we catch it. We try to catch it as quick as possible.
Do we name our podcast? Does each podcast have a name?
Yeah, well,
John, the podcast guy.
Haven't named it yet.
I feel like this one should be named like "You Can't Slip."
You can't slip.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old Mix-a-Lot song. One
Yeah.
of my faves.
Yeah. So now you're just funny. I feel like this podcast took a turn that I didn't expect to take because now I need to like shift gears and maybe I'm going to take a month and do all the things that I should be doing and we'll see what happens.
Right.
Oh.
Make a power list.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And track it.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you do when that transition with the assistant is really hard, or it's like they don't get it right away, or it's like you get the sense like it would be easier if I just did it myself, because that's how I feel sometimes giving stuff to other people. Like
Yeah.
it'd just be easier if I just did it myself.
You take that.
Well, this is something
I feel like we talked about this.
Right. This is something that I'm working on with Cozi as well.
Mhm.
Like we're working on that leadership and stuff like that. And for me, it's I don't want to say easier. It comes a little more natural because I have been leading for so long that Cozi's built for speed. Cozi's a great soldier. Like she's a great taskmaster that will go and hammer out the details, and you know it's going to get done. What we're working on, and this everybody has to work on this because it's not an easy thing, because giving up the control is hard. And so, like you have to inspect what you expect is what Ed Milet says. So like if I give Angie a task, I need to follow up or have her send me a completion and that kind of thing until the trust is built up with your assistant. And Cozi's working on that now. She's making progress, and it's just giving up the control is the hardest part because you just want to make sure it's done. And so the training of the assistant and her letting the control go is the hardest part.
That, and then just from my previous job, when I had a management job in like a corporate setting, right, where there was like an HR person and I had a manager or two I had to answer to, but then I was managing 10 people. The feedback I constantly got on my management style was that I was too hard. So now it almost like messed me up to where now I'm always afraid of like hurting feelings.
You're overcompensating.
Yeah, I don't want to like hurt anybody's feelings. So instead of having the hard conversation and possibly hurting feelings, I'll just do it myself.
Right. And that's what makes me working with Cozi this long great, because Cozi's like working with a guy. She's like working with a dude. Like I know I'm not going to hurt her feelings, right? Like this shit needs to get done. It needs to get done right away, right? And I've known Angie for 20 years. She cries a lot, but I get over it.
You've gotten a lot better.
She's got a lot better. So it's just learning each individual person and learning their styles.
And management's weird because that's really all it is. You have to learn how to like talk to people, and you have to learn how to talk to them to suit them and learn like what motivates them, right? So it's really just like, as a leader, you're really trying to learn like the nuances about every person you're leading.
It's massaging the situation and figuring out like what's great about working with Cozi for this long is we can yell at each other, throw shit at each other, and then it's like, hey, where are we going to lunch? Like we know that it's not like it's not personal. It's just we all have the same goal. We just got to figure out how to get there, and that's the hardest part.
Right. Yeah, managing people is tough.
Managing people is the hardest part of business. It's, especially when you're first starting out and you're scaling and money's tight and, when is this person going to pay? And, when is this house going to close? And this person's got a family to take care of, and, that they still have to get paid, and managing the emotions and people's temperament. And it's by far the hardest part of business.
Right. And then you can't grow if you don't build that team to help you grow it. So.
100%. And like with subcontractors in the home building, I just don't have to hire them again. If they don't do a good job and they don't, their billing's bad or something, then I could just hire the next sub. Where if it's an employee and then you get personal with them, and I know Angie's got kids and the husband she's got to take care of.
Yeah.
That's another thing that's always kind of a hard thing, right? You want to support your friends and bring them up with you, but then it's like, do you hire friends? Because then that is, for me, I just, and it's hard for me to be told by people like, you're too hard. But I'm always like, hey, am I being nice about this? Was that too hard?
It goes back to that, the old adage, right? It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Like, I have to say certain things to Cozi a certain way, certain things to Angie a certain way. And it's just those little adjective words that connect the sentences that either makes it harsher or not. And Cozi comes off harsh, and I'm okay.
You do think I come off harsh?
Oh, for sure.
Do you think I come off harsh?
I've experienced you coming off harsh in the past, but I also know that.
I also
so
think
I don't take it personally.
yeah, the harsh is who I really am. That's when there's no filter and it just comes out of my mouth.
Right.
That's
Right.
Yeah. I mean, you weren't like. I mean, you've never been like mean, you know, or anything like that. But just direct, very direct.
very direct.
Well, I think
You have to be.
Honestly, I think some people just aren't used to having that much directness from a woman.
Right,
Honestly.
yeah.
Like, and so when there is
100%.
a female that's just like very to the point, people are like, "Whoa."
Yeah.
And I have two sisters and a bossy wife, so I'm used to it. Like,
Well,
this
but
is
that's,
my life.
No, 100%. Levi can say it to somebody and they don't take it as badly as they take it from me. And we can say the same exact thing and
I
say it
think-
the same way.
But I think high producers move at that speed, right? Like, I can't. There's times where there's no time to fluff up and worry about feelings. We have to be direct. Things, time is of the essence. Like, we have to move fast if we want to move the amount of houses we want to do and produce the amount of things that we want to grow to. Sometimes people need to realize that it's not harsh. It's just we're moving at a different speed.
And exactly. And there are times like when you are trying to close a deal, you have deadlines you have to meet,
Right.
you have dates you have to meet. And if you're not getting answered, you're not getting these things, you're going to be like, give me my stuff.
Yeah, I also think too, like just for myself, I think 95% of the time I am like happy-go-lucky
Oh,
and like
yes.
whatever. So then when
Absolutely.
it happens, it's like, whoa.
Yeah. That's a really good point too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point too. Yep.
So right now, Cozi, you pretty much list all the homes for Infinity Homes, right?
Yep.
Are you guys gonna expand that to like have other realtors like selling your homes, or what does expansion look like?
Well, so that's kind of right what it looks like as far as the first assistant, right? Get her kind of trained up doing to do it well. Then if we hire more, she can train them to do like her job, and then she can move up.
Or do you want to have somebody like do what Levi did to you? Like, you gotta go find your own homes. You can't just sell. you can't just sell ours.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Levi's right. It is like, it's a confidence thing, right? Like there is 100%. Levi could tell me to go kick rocks tomorrow and I'd be like, well, fuck off. I'll go do my own thing. Cause I know I can.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And we list for other builders as well. So having that new construction experience is so valuable, because there's probably 5 realtors in our town that can sell new construction well. And having that skill, she'll always be great. So to answer that question, John, the podcast guy, we are moving in that direction because we're in multiple cities and looking to expand. It's just finding the right fit and in control.
Yeah, and me giving up the control.
Because I have no idea why it would be harder. What makes it? Why are there so few realtors that could really sell like a new construction home?
It's a different skill set, right? We call it well, it's easy to sell new construction if it's finished and staged and right and whatever, and you're just like, go show it, right? Someone will sell it. It's a different skill set to be able to sell it when it's framed or when it's just a piece of land,
right.
Or you know what I mean.
So
we call
do,
it
like pre-sales.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like we're selling a vision of in a lifestyle of a home when there's just a piece of land. you know, I'm meeting with a gal, and there's a unique piece of property, and the topography is crazy because it slopes down really fast. And so like I have to paint the picture of how the house is going to look, where the deck's going to be, the windows, the view, the sunset, that kind of stuff, to where if you've never done that, it's a lot harder than just selling a house that's a track home that is staged and looks great.
Right. Or just to like understand the process of it. Obviously it took time to kind of learn the building process, and then you're in the subdivision so much. Like I know things about like the subdivisions that other real estate agents just don't know because they just don't have the experience in the subdivision. I could probably tell you like the covenants and restrictions back and forth in those subdivisions because I work in them so much.
We get calls from agents that don't even know where these subdivisions are at.
Right.
Like, oh, we can't find it on Google Maps. Like when I started, we would have to like we would just get in our car and go tour the subdivisions. So when someone called, you're educated on what the inventory is. And technology is great. It makes life really convenient, but it's making people lazy. People aren't going out and doing the groundwork to have the knowledge of a subdivision, where the houses are, who's building them, what style, what prices. What we're lacking right now is the agents educating themselves on what's out there. They're just pulling it up on the MLS and Google Mapsing it and hoping it shows up, to where that work ethic and knowledge is lacking right now. So what's great for that is that it just puts us a step ahead of everybody else.
Yeah. And then, there are the people that, right. And that's what's great about real estate is, right. You can be the one sitting in the office, right. Learning from other people. You can be doing open houses. You can be out touring, like showing yourself around these subdivisions and educating yourself. That's what's great about real estate, to where you'll be great. Those are the people that succeed, are the ones that are out doing the work. We're
looking at moving into yet another market in Montana. So I'll go spend 2 or 3 days there, and I'll go drive around, and I'll know all the subdivisions. I'll meet as many subcontractors as I can, engineers, people that, the city council. Like I'll have all of the knowledge before we decide if we're going to pull the trigger in there, not just kind of blind faith it and figure out if that's what we want to do.
Yeah, then the other thing that's cool is that what we've kind of experienced just going into new markets is we go in and we meet the real estate agents, right? We meet, like Levi said, the subcontractors, the people in the area, to where, like, even think about Helena, how many random opportunities have we had come up there that if we weren't out talking to the other real estate agents and the other like people in the community, we wouldn't know about.
100%.
And that's a cool part, is getting to know a new city and all the new people and all like the new opportunities.
Right. And getting back to like the Cozi journey, what I'll give her credit for is when I first started selling for a builder, he just told me, just set up meetings for me. And I just took that and ran with it. And then when Cozi started, I told her, just set me up meetings. You don't have to have the knowledge. And that's the best way for agents to get with builders, is set meetings and say, hey, I don't know that answer, but the builder does. And then once you're sitting in those meetings, then you start learning the process, and you start learning how to go from the piece of ground to a finished home. And Cozi took that and ran with it. And to this day, like, she still just sets meetings, and I just go knock it out of the park. And that's our process.
Do you feel like it's more difficult to find clients who are looking for a new build, like from the start, like they want to?
It depends. Yeah, some people, it just depends on the person, right? Some people want just to walk into a finished house and be done, right? Other people, but that's us selling the process to them, right? Like, hey, if you build, you get to pick all your colors. You get to pick all your light fixtures. You're not going to have to walk in and repaint anything because it's already going to be painted the color that you picked. Right?
Like, our success came from that, because when I first started, I could only do 1 or 2 specs at a time. So to get our volume up, we had to pre-sell houses. Success is always born from necessity. Like, we had to get that volume up. So, and I knew the process from working with another builder. So that's how we built it up, from building, 2 houses to 10 to 20. And it's just a skill set that you have to learn. It's just reps. It's just doing it over and over and over again. And you say something and it's wrong, then you say it different the next time. And then you just learn what people want. And so what's nice now is, with the volume that we're doing, is we have 20 specs going. So we're hitting that market where the people need a house right away, and they can't wait the 6 to 8 months to build. So we're hitting both markets now, which is exactly the sweet spot we want to be.
Yeah. The other thing that's funny is even when you first start real estate, right? When you do these real estate trainings and stuff, when you're first starting, they like to give people scripts and right, like this is what you should say in a listing appointment, and right, like this is how the conversation should flow. Which I was never that does not vibe with me. That's not who I am. I can't read from a script. It sounds canned, right? But then for us in a pre-sold meeting, we always end up kind of talking about the same thing. I know what Levi's going to say before he says it because we've done it so many times to where it is almost a script, but not like we didn't. It's not like we read it. It just kind of evolved.
Bullet points the process. We find the land, we talk to the bank, and we tell them about the banking process. So we've done it so many times. We're just spitting a script. But it's not rehearsed. It's not anything.
Right.
We've just
I can be like, if he forgets to touch on something, right? We have it to where I'll be like, hey, Levi, why don't you talk about financing? Right. And then because it's like, I just know he forgot to hit that point in his conversation.
Yeah. And I think going back to the reps point of it is you have to keep doing things over and over and over again until you find your rhythm and get it right. I think a lot of people give up so easy because it's not working right away. You have to go to open houses and talk to people over and over and over again until you start getting numbers, and then you start figuring out what's working for you. Because my style at an open house may be different than Cozi's. It might be different than another very successful realtor. It doesn't mean one's right or wrong. It's just you have to find your personal style.
It's like picking up guys in a bar.
100%. Not that I've ever picked up a dude at a bar.
But it's just like picking up a girl, right?
Same
it's like
concept.
let's just call it getting a phone number at a bar.
Right.
It's the same thing.
It's the same concept.
I just have a different style than you.
Right. And mine's always super laid back, come in because I don't want to come off too aggressive because I'm a big guy. I don't, no one likes that big aggressive man coming at you. And you just got to be super likable, and people want to ask questions. They don't want to feel intimidated while they do it.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. Like, you guys are two people that are people feel comfortable coming to you with questions. And I think that's huge.
Have you sat in open houses with both of us?
Yes.
So you've seen how we both do it differently.
Yes.
And I'm better, right?
Hey, it's just you're different. You're both different. I feel like even each one I said that, I think you each both got a phone number.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're both super competitive, so then we have contests of who can pick up more people, and
which is fun.
And I normally win.
Oh my God! One time.
He
just got lucky with a busier open house. Let's be honest.
You went on a nice day. You went on a windy day.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That had to be it.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So, Cozi, what are you most excited for about like the future of real estate, Infinity Homes, Oakland Realty, all of that?
I'm excited for the growth, right? We set really big goals. I'm excited to hit them. I'm excited to branch out into other states and do that because that's the goal we set. And like we just talked about, it is fun to go into these new communities and make a name for yourself, right? Learn about them. They learn about you, right? We've gone into 2 new towns in the last couple of years, and we already have a great reputation in both. And it's partially because we have great project managers and everyone is kind of pulling together and doing a good job. So yeah, I'm just excited for the growth and for Levi to be able to fly me state to state.
Right. That's super exciting.
Pilot's license.
Got some great news today. Passed my medical, which has taken a while because of the ADD problems, but we're over it. And it almost took a year, but we're getting through it. So got some great news on that front.
So how many hours of flying do you have to do before you have a passenger?
Well, 30 more. But I think I'll fly 100 before.
You know what's going to be bullshit is he'll be like, I'll meet you in Helena. He'll fly and I'll drive.
Right. What I'm going to have to train my wife's going to be the worst one. Even in the snowy weather, which we have super snowy weather right now, if there's a little bit of sliding, she just starts to panic. You can't do that in an airplane. You just got to sit there.
She might have to sit in the back.
Right. We might have to get her medication.
Yeah, she can take it while you're flying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's going to make it a lot easier and more fun to go to new locations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel like has it been harder starting out like starting and building a business, or is it harder to really scale the business? Like,
for me, it's two totally different feelings. Just starting, you're the underdog. You know, nobody thought we could do it. Nobody thought that we could build 20 houses a year, let alone 60. So now we're kind of expected to win, to where scaling for me is harder. For me, it's harder because the cash flow problems come in, you know, the personnel problems come in, the personalities. It's just a different stress. And stress is a muscle. If you don't work it, we've talked about it before, going from 6 houses a year to 20 houses a year, you have a capacity to take on so much stress. I'm sure with your business, right? You can take on 5 clients and then 10, and then you got to hire people. And then, so that stress, you know, the stress is different. To me, it's totally different. For Cozi, I think it's easy because I'm just like, sell more. Like,
so I was actually thinking about it kind of from a different stance, right? Like, so you start out, the stress is different because like you're broke, right? So you have to, it's like do or die, get rich or die trying.
Right. So many.
Right? So, but then it's like you have nothing to lose either. So it's like whatever.
Right.
You just do your best.
Right. We've been poor before. We can go back to the trailer house.
Right. To where, right. So then I always feel like, okay, yeah, I'd be fine if I had to go back to that. Right. Like, I know a lot of good different ways to make ramen noodles. I'm straight.
You can make them dry. You can make them juicy. Like there's so many options.
There's so many options. To where I'm like, I'd be fine. The scaling stress is different. Also with that first stress, that was on me. I'll just go do it, right? I know I'll do it. The scaling stress to me is different because it's the leadership part. I know I'll go do it. I don't know that you'll go do it how I want you to do it. And right. And that's a hard part about leadership is I want to be like, just do what I do. Do it how I would do it. And so that's the part that's different. When it was like just me starting out, I knew I would do what I needed to do.
Right. Like I could go back and build 10 houses a year and take care of my family and be just fine. For me, the stress now is I have a project manager in each city. I've got employees here that have families that we have to take care of. Like that responsibility is on me. That's not on any of the employees or any, like if we're not selling houses, they still have to get a paycheck. They've got a mortgage, they've got kids. So that's the stress level for me right now. And I don't think that ever goes away. If you have 3 employees or 300, right? Like that stress, I don't think will ever go away because we have to be thinking long term now instead of just like me, you know, taking care of my family and just getting by. So, and then the numbers are just different. I was just telling Cozi this the other day. When you're scaling, everybody's got stress, right? Can you make your mortgage payment? Can you sign your kids up for soccer? Can you do this? Can you do that? And then as you get bigger, the stress is still the same. The numbers just get bigger. There's just another 0 or 2
but it is just the same stress.
It's and you know, people think like, oh, this person's got a business. I wish I could be there because there's no stress. That's false because the numbers just get bigger. So the fall can be more.
Yeah. A little harder.
I just want to give you guys kudos for you saying that right there because there's a lot of small business owners around that do have employees that they have to pay and things like that, but their employees' families are not top of their mind.
Weird.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, just they want to make sure that they get their money and they get paid for their paychecks, and their employees are kind of a.
And I think those are the businesses that end up failing. Long-term.
Well, and I want us to be like the people that work for us. I want them to be able to like live super comfortable and like go on vacations and do whatever. And then I also want people to have like the opportunity to grow themselves. That's huge for us, I think, is like if you work hard and like kick ass, you can.
Because we've both been at those jobs where there's nowhere to move.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of topped out. And that, to me, I think that's kind of when life starts to fade a little bit. When you always have, like in my mind, and I'm built a little different than most people, I always have to have a goal, something to try to achieve, because I think that's kind of where just the spice of life comes from. You have to like keep pushing for something. And I also go back to my subcontractors are just like my employees. When we thought the market was going to die, we shifted and did super, super affordable homes because I wanted to keep our subcontractors working too. And I take on that stress too, which whether I should or not, I don't know. But to me, that's stressful too. Like I want my plumber to keep working. I want the installation company to keep working because there's hundreds of people that depend on our production to keep them busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it falls on sales.
See it that way, then the inverse of that is that those subs will want to keep working.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It creates
Build that
loyalty.
relationship.
Yeah. That loyalty is huge.
Yeah. The loyalty that Levi has from his subcontractors is awesome. They think the world of him.
Well,
We're
and they're all great people,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
They're great guys that like when we do the appreciation parties and stuff, it's always like cool to hang out with them.
Absolutely.
And
They do a great job. They're our family. They're, and I've known a lot of these guys, I grew up with them. So I want to keep everybody busy. The banks still need to make money. Everybody needs to keep working and we all have to prosper together or it's not worth doing.
right.
Like you can't hoard all the money for yourself and, you're living great, but your assistant's out of work.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's a big problem, especially when you get out of like private ownership though into corporate America, where it is a lot about just hoarding stuff at the top.
it
Yes.
absolutely is. And then you're worried about your shareholders and that kind of stuff. That's why I support small businesses with everything. Going down to, I won't go to Starbucks. I want to support the small businesses that take care of their people and spend their money.
Starbucks also kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It has gone way downhill.
It does. It does. Their coffee sucks and they're way too woke. But we won't get into politics yet.
They always misspell my name.
That is what?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm sure wrong.
Well, Cozi, I hope things work out with you getting an assistant.
Thanks. I have an assistant. She's doing a good job. So,
We're just training.
yeah.
It's all fun.
Yep.
Yes. So things are looking up. Market's picking up, and hopefully we get springtime weather soon.
Yeah.
Cool. With that, we'll end it. Again, this is the Pursuit of Everything with Levi Wanner. You can find me on Instagram at Levi Wanner. Pretty easy stuff. Thank you for DJ Topeka and the podcast guy
Okay, thanks
for joining us. Everybody have a good day.
The junk podcast guy.